For 29 years, my birthday was a lukewarm appetizer for my brother's gourmet feast. For my 30th, I decided it was time to burn the whole restaurant down. My birthday is October 15th. My brother Ethan's is October 16th. To my family, this tiny 24-hour gap has always been a convenient excuse to treat my existence as a brief opening act for his main event. For 29 years, I was the lukewarm appetizer before the gourmet feast. This year, for my 30th, I decided it was time to burn the whole restaurant down. It started small, as these things always do. When we were kids, it was a shared birthday cake with only his name piped in blue icing. "It's just easier, honey," my mom would say, patting my head. "We all know it's for you, too." But the presents told a different story. I'd get a practical sweater or a set of books, while Ethan would unwrap a brand new bicycle or the latest video game console. My day was the prelude. His was the crescendo. As we got older, it became more blatant. For my 16th birthday, I dreamed of a sweet 16 party, just a small one with my friends. Instead, my parents took us all out to a stuffy, expensive restaurant. Halfway through dinner, my dad stood up and raised his glass. "To Ethan," he'd boomed, on the eve of his 17th birthday, a fine young man on the cusp of his future. My friends shot me confused, sympathetic looks. I just pushed my creme brulee around my plate, the heat of humiliation crawling up my neck. My birthday was just the eve of his, but last year was the final straw. It was my 29th, a milestone of sorts, the last year of my 20s. I'd been dropping hints for months about wanting to take a weekend trip to a little cabin by the lake. Nothing fancy, just a quiet celebration. On the morning of my birthday, I came downstairs to find my parents buzzing with excitement. My mom was on the phone ordering a massive sheet cake, and my dad was blowing up dozens of balloons. For a fleeting, foolish moment, I thought it was for me. "Wow, you guys," I said, a smile starting to form. "You really didn't have to." My mom covered the receiver. "Oh, honey, don't be silly. This is for Ethan's party tomorrow. His big 3-0 is a huge deal." She turned back to the phone. "Yes, 3 tiers, and can you write Happy 30th to the world's best son on it?" The words hit me like a physical blow, not just ignored, but completely erased. I spent my entire birthday helping them set up for my brother's party. I hung streamers, arranged platters of food, and fielded calls from his friends confirming their attendance. No one wished me a happy birthday, not a single person. When I quietly tried to mention it to my mom while we were setting out napkins, she just shushed me. "Don't make this about you, Sarah," she'd whispered, a look of annoyance on her face. "Ethan's had a really tough year at the firm. He needs this." That night, I went home to my empty apartment, cried for exactly 1 hour, and then I opened my laptop. The planning began. I worked extra shifts, saved every penny, and made a series of quiet, careful arrangements. I played my part all year, nodding along to conversations about Ethan's big year and offering to help with his party planning for the 31st. They had no idea that my helpfulness was the Trojan horse. Now here I am, standing in my parents' brightly lit living room. The air is thick with the scent of expensive cologne and catered mini quiches. A massive gold-lettered banner hangs over the fireplace. "Happy 31st, Ethan!" He's holding court by the bar, laughing loudly as he accepts another backslap from one of my uncles. My mom glides past, her face glowing with pride. She gives my arm a quick squeeze. "Isn't this wonderful? Look how happy he is." She doesn't even seem to register the cocktail dress I bought specifically for the occasion, or the fact that 24 hours ago, I officially left my 20s behind. To her, I'm just part of the scenery. My father, glass of champagne in hand, taps a fork against it to get everyone's attention. "If I could have everyone's attention, please, a few words for our birthday boy." The room quiets down. Everyone turns towards him, their faces beaming at my brother. My heart is pounding, not with anxiety, but with a cold, thrilling certainty. This is it. This is the moment. My dad clears his throat, ready to launch into his annual monologue about his perfect son, the future of the family. But before he could get another word out, I picked up a steak knife from the buffet table and tapped it gently against my own champagne flute. The light, clear ding cut through the expectant silence. It wasn't loud, but it was sharp and precise. Every eye in the room swiveled from my father to me. I saw confusion on their faces, annoyance on my mother's. I held their gaze, a slow, genuine smile spreading across my face for the first time all night. "Thank you all for coming," I began, my voice ringing with a calm confidence they'd never heard from me before. "It means so much that you're all here to celebrate with us, especially since my parents have a very special announcement to make. In fact, it's a surprise I've been helping them plan all year." A thick, uncomfortable silence descended upon the room. My father's mouth hung open slightly, the celebratory words he was about to deliver dying on his lips. My mother shot me a look of pure venom, a silent, furious command to sit down and shut up. Ethan just looked amused, a smirk playing on his lips as if he thought this was some misguided, elaborate toast I was about to give in his honor. He had no idea. "A surprise?" my father finally managed to say, his voice tight with forced joviality. "Sarah, what are you talking about?" I beamed at him, a daughter's perfect, loving smile. "Oh, you know, Dad, the surprise, the one we've all been working towards. You see, everyone," I announced, turning to address the confused guests. "My parents have done so much for us. They've sacrificed their time, their energy, their dreams, all to give my brother and me the best possible life." I paused, letting my gaze drift pointedly towards Ethan, especially my brother, making sure he had everything he ever needed to succeed. A few people nodded, murmuring in agreement. My parents looked slightly mollified, probably thinking this was just a long-winded, embarrassing thank you. I let them have that moment of comfort. It was the last one they were going to get. "And now," I continued, my voice swelling with manufactured emotion, "it's their turn. They've spent 31 years raising children in this beautiful home, but they've always talked about their real dream, retiring somewhere warm, somewhere they can finally relax and focus on themselves. No more worrying about work or property taxes or demanding children." My mother's eyes narrowed. "Sarah, that's enough," she hissed, taking a step towards me. I held up a hand, gracefully cutting her off. "So, for the past year, I've been helping them make that dream a reality. I helped Mom declutter the house, remember? All those weekends we spent packing up the attic and the basement. You said you wanted to get a head start on downsizing for the future. And Dad, I helped you get all your financials in order, remember? Consolidating accounts, scanning documents. You said you wanted to simplify things. Well, we did it." From my small clutch purse, I pulled out a sleek, glossy brochure and held it up for everyone to see. The cover showed a sun-drenched golf course and a smiling, silver-haired couple. In elegant script, the title read, "Welcome to Sandpiper Meadows. Your Florida paradise awaits." I took the liberty of putting down the deposit on a lovely little villa for them, I said brightly. "It has a screened-in porch and a view of the 9th hole. The moving truck is booked for tomorrow morning. It's all taken care of. A new life, a fresh start. It's my 30th birthday gift to myself, to finally give them the freedom they deserve." The room erupted in whispers. My Uncle Robert clapped my dad on the back. "Well, I'll be! Florida! You kept this quiet, Bill!" My Aunt Carol clasped her hands together. "Oh, Mary, that's just wonderful! You deserve it!" My parents' faces had drained of all color. They looked like they'd been struck by lightning. "Sarah, this is insane," my father sputtered, his voice a low growl. "We are not moving to Florida. We never agreed to this." "What do you mean?" I asked, my face a mask of innocent confusion. "We planned it all out. Everything we did this year was a step towards this goal. You wanted this." I turned to the guests, my voice laced with hurt. They're just shy, overwhelmed by the grand gesture. Just then, the doorbell rang. The sound sliced through the tension like a guillotine. "Oh, perfect timing," I chirped, my smile widening. I walked towards the front door, the crowd parting before me like the Red Sea. My parents and Ethan stood frozen in the middle of the living room, watching in horror. I swung the door open to reveal a young, smiling couple on the doorstep, holding a bottle of champagne. The room fell silent once more. The woman looked past me, her eyes lighting up as she took in the house. "It's even more beautiful in person," she exclaimed to her husband. I turned back to my stunned family and their equally stunned guests. "Everyone," I announced, my voice clear and steady, projecting to every corner of the room. "I'd like you to meet the Millers. I believe you all have some things to discuss. After all, they are the new owners of the house. Closing was this afternoon." Pandemonium. That's the only word for it. It was like I detonated a bomb made of pure shock and confusion. For a full 10 seconds, the only sound was the cheerful, oblivious chatter of the Millers at the door, asking if they should take their shoes off. Then, my mother let out a sound like a kettle reaching its boiling point, a high-pitched, strangled shriek. "New owners?" she screeched, her perfectly coiffed hair seeming to vibrate with rage. "Sarah, have you lost your mind?" My father surged forward, his face a mottled, apoplectic purple. "What is the meaning of this? You can't sell our house. This is illegal." I held up a perfectly manicured hand, palm out, stopping him in his tracks. "Actually, I can," and I did. I reached into my purse again and pulled out a crisp, folded document, a power of attorney. "Remember last year, Dad, when you had that minor surgery? You signed this so I could manage your accounts and pay the bills while you recovered." I didn't add that I'd had my lawyer friend draft it with a few broader clauses than strictly necessary. "You were so impressed with how simplified everything was afterwards that you never bothered to revoke it." His jaw worked, but no sound came out. He looked at the paper in my hand as if it were a venomous snake. Ethan finally snapped out of his stupor. He stormed towards me, his face a mask of disbelief and fury. "This is insane, Sarah. This is my home. You think you can just kick us out?" "Our home, you mean," I corrected him gently. "And no, I'm not kicking you out. I'm facilitating Mom and Dad's long-cherished dream of retirement. And as for you..." I turned my gaze on him, the smile never leaving my face. "Don't you worry. Your new chapter is about to begin, too. I'm sure you'll love it." The poor Millers were still hovering awkwardly in the doorway, the celebratory champagne bottle drooping in their hands. Mr. Miller cleared his throat. "Excuse me, is this a bad time? The realtor said the previous owners would be moved out by tomorrow." "It's a perfect time," I said, guiding them inside. "Please come in, meet the family. Bill, Mary, this is Tom and Jessica Miller. They fell in love with their kitchen renovation." My mother looked like she was about to faint. The guests were frozen, a gallery of gaping mouths and wide eyes, their forgotten canapés growing cold on their plates. They were watching the most spectacular family implosion they had ever seen, and they had front-row seats. "Get them out of our house!" my father roared, finally finding his voice. "Their house," I corrected again, my tone still light and breezy. "The wire transfer cleared at 4 p.m. It's all in a new trust account that I've set up for you, an account that will forward you a very generous monthly allowance once you're settled in at Sandpiper Meadows. All you have to do is sign the residency papers. It's really for the best." My mother began to sob, not quiet tears, but loud, gulping, theatrical sobs designed to garner sympathy. "After everything we've done for you, how could you do this to us, to your brother?" "To my brother?" I echoed, my voice losing its cheerful edge for the first time, replaced by a cold, hard anger that had been simmering for 30 years. "Let's talk about what's been done for my brother." I walked over to the buffet table and picked up a small framed photo that was always on display at family events. It was Ethan, age 10, grinning proudly next to a massive, professional-looking telescope. "Remember this? Ethan's 10th birthday. He wanted a telescope. You spent a fortune on it. That same week for my 9th birthday, I asked for art lessons. You told me it was too expensive and got me a coloring book from the drugstore instead. I moved down the line of photos on the mantel. And this, Ethan's graduation from his MBA program. You threw him a party that cost more than my first car. For my college graduation, you took me to Olive Garden and told me to order from the lunch menu because it was cheaper. With every word, the air in the room grew heavier. The guests were no longer just watching a drama. They were witnesses at a trial. My family was the defendant, and I was the prosecution, laying out 3 decades of evidence. For 30 years, my birthday has been nothing more than the day before his. My accomplishments have been footnotes in the grand story of Ethan, the golden child. You didn't just ignore me. You actively diminished me to make him shine brighter. I looked directly at Ethan. You let them. You soaked it up and never once, not one single time, stood up for me. You took the bigger piece of cake, the better presents, the lion's share of their love and attention, and you never looked back. Ethan's face was pale. That's not true, he stammered, but his voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? I shot back. I gestured around the crowded room. Then where is my banner? Where is my cake? Where is my 30 years of being celebrated? It isn't here. It's never been here. I let the silence hang in the air for a moment before delivering the next blow. But don't worry, Ethan. I haven't forgotten about you. I know how tough your year at the firm has been. I mimicked my mother's words from a year ago. I know you need this, so I took care of your future, too. From my purse, I pulled out one last item. It was a single laminated ID card on a lanyard. You see, while I was liquidating some of Mom and Dad's underperforming assets to pay for their retirement and this lovely house for the Millers, I found out the firm wasn't just tough. It was on the verge of bankruptcy because of some very creative accounting. Your accounting. I held up the ID card. The picture on it was unmistakably Ethan's, but the name underneath was not. I bought the firm's debt, all of it. For pennies on the dollar, really. The company, the building, the client list, it's all mine now. And as the new owner, my first order of business was some corporate restructuring. I walked over to him and dangled the ID card in front of his face. He stared at it, his eyes wide with dawning horror. "Congratulations on your promotion," I said, my voice dropping to a near whisper. "You're the new head of the mailroom. Your new supervisor is a lovely man named Gary. He starts you on sorting envelopes Monday at 8 a.m. sharp." Ethan stared at the laminated ID card as if it were a death sentence. The mailroom. Him. The golden child, the MBA graduate, the future partner, demoted to a glorified paper pusher in the basement of the company he once considered his kingdom. The blood drained from his face, leaving behind a pasty, sickly white. For the first time in his life, he was utterly speechless. My mother, however, was not. Her sobs instantly ceased, replaced by a volcanic eruption of fury. "You monster!" she shrieked, lunging at me. "You've destroyed this family. You've ruined your brother's life." Before she could reach me, my father grabbed her arm. His face was a grim, defeated slate of gray. He looked older, smaller than he had just 10 minutes ago. The fight had gone out of him, replaced by the chilling realization of just how thoroughly I had outmaneuvered them. "Mary, stop," he said, his voice a hoarse whisper. "It's over." The guests began to quietly self-extricate from the wreckage. Aunts and uncles who had cheered for Ethan's every success now couldn't meet my parents' eyes. They mumbled excuses about babysitters and early mornings, slipping out the front door past the bewildered but silent Millers. They left behind their half-eaten food and full glasses of champagne, escaping the fallout zone of a family that had just been publicly dismantled. Soon it was just the 5 of us left in the cavernous, silent room, surrounded by the ghosts of a party that had died a spectacular death. The happy 31st Ethan banner seemed to mock us. I looked at my family, my real family, for what felt like the first time. I saw them not as the towering figures of my childhood, but as they were now, 2 aging, frightened people. and their coddled, broken son. There was no triumph in their defeat, only a hollow, aching sadness. "Why?" Ethan finally choked out, his voice cracking. "Why would you do all this?" "Because you left me no choice," I said, my voice finally losing its calculated calm and revealing the raw, 30-year-old wound beneath. "I tried to talk to you. I tried to be heard. I spent my entire life begging for a single crumb of the affection you showered on him. But you were all so blinded by the sun, you couldn't see the other child standing right beside you. I didn't destroy this family. This family was broken long before tonight. It was built on a faulty foundation of favoritism and neglect. I just knocked down the walls so you could finally see it." I turned to my parents. "You have two options. You can take the beautiful villa in Florida, live out your days on a comfortable, managed income, and maybe, just maybe, learn to be a couple again instead of just Ethan's parents. Or you can refuse, and I will dissolve the trust and you will get nothing. The house is gone. The money you thought you had is gone. This," I said, gesturing to the brochure, "is your only parachute." My mother looked at my father, her eyes pleading, but he just shook his head slowly, a single tear tracing a path through the wrinkles on his cheek. He knew. They had lost. Then I looked at Ethan. "And you," I said, my voice softening slightly, "you can report to the mailroom on Monday or you can quit, but your reputation in this city's financial sector is compromised. I made sure of that. The job I'm offering you is a chance to start from the absolute bottom and learn what it's like to actually earn something for yourself. It's more of a chance than you ever gave me." I placed the power of attorney on the mantel. I laid the Sandpiper Meadows brochure next to it. Finally, I tossed Ethan's new mailroom ID onto the coffee table. It landed with a soft plastic clatter that echoed in the silence. My work was done. "The movers will be here at 9 a.m. tomorrow for your personal belongings. They have instructions to deliver them to a storage unit I've paid for 6 months," I said, my voice flat and businesslike. "After that, it's up to you. Goodbye." I turned and walked towards the door, not looking back. I passed the Millers, who were now standing nervously in the foyer. I gave them a small, reassuring nod. "Sorry for the drama," I whispered. "It's all yours now. Welcome home." As I stepped out into the cool October air, the night felt different. It was the 16th now, Ethan's birthday. But for the first time, it didn't matter. The weight of his day no longer crushed mine. The door clicked shut behind me, and with it, a 30-year chapter of my life came to an end. I didn't know what my future held, or if my family would ever speak to me again. A part of me mourned the family I wished I'd had, the love I'd never received. But as I walked to my car under the quiet stars, I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. I felt free. It was the best birthday present I had ever received, and it was the one I had finally given to myself.